So before we get to what is bad, we need to understand what is good about a Venus flytrap and what we can expect from them. So Venus flytraps, like most carnivorous plants, aren't like non-carnivorous plants in the way that they grow and their growth habits. And what I mean by that specifically for this video is their leaf turnover rate. Carnivorous plants have a very high leaf turnover rate, and none more so than the Venus flytrap. Now, for most plants, the leaves serve one purpose, and that is to photosynthesize light into energy. And certainly Venus flytraps and other carnivorous plants are no exception there. They need those leaves for photosynthesis. But there's more to the story. See, carnivorous plants also use their leaves to help capture prey. And so because of that, there's a lot of energy that is required to keep these traps or these pitchers going, depending on what plant you're talking about. And so if the plant has gotten what it needs out of it, it will kill off that pitcher or trap. And also, if the trap has been around and it needs to divert energy somewhere else, it will also kill off the pitcher or trap. So let's talk about that. So for the Venus flytrap, you can expect to get 1 to 2 meals out of it. Now, if it's a larger prey, you'll probably only get 1, and if it's smaller prey, you might get 2. Now, the benefit of that is this. So you'll see here, these are small little love bugs, and there isn't a lot of nutrients in that. And so the plant has reopened, and it is still ready to go. And the good thing is this will attract other prey who will try to feed off of that carcass and will also get caught. Now, there's a couple of reasons why people freak out when they start getting black traps, because it's the plant's natural reaction both to being fulfilled and being stressed. So let's talk about that. Here we have a Venus flytrap that has been nourished, and you can see that the trap is got a hermetic seal. That means all the way closed, and it has broken down the prey. Now what you're looking at is the juices that have wrought the trap and nitrogen burn. In other words, this was a reward. This plant has got all the nutrients it needs out of that trap, and it will now kill it off. Or the juices themselves will rot the trap, but that's okay because it got everything it needs from it, so it doesn't need to put any more energy into it. Now, some of these, it had a good meal, but it is still ready to go. But here's another example again. This trap got what it needed, and now the trap is dying off. That is perfectly okay and is a healthy sign. Let's come over here. Sometimes the trap is just reaching the end of its rope, and that is perfectly normal and a healthy response. As you can see here, it's starting to die off, and that is okay. Now, let's talk about when things aren't okay. And for the astute mind or the keen eye, there's something on this plant that isn't okay. And it's that trap right there. See, the trap is black, it hasn't even opened up. And so what is going on with that one? So I've moved from that Chronos to a more clear example of a trap that is not healthy. And it is this one right here. This is a red top. And as you can see, it's exhibiting some behaviors that are a little concerning. Not a little concerning, a lot concerning. So these traps right here do in fact have prey in them, so I'm not too concerned about that. But if you'll notice, this one doesn't even have a trap on it at all. Overall, the plant just looks sickly. If we look at this one over here, we have the same thing. See how there's a mass of traps that have this sort of palish, yellowish brown look to them, but then also some fringing on the side. This is a sign of stress. Now, there's a couple reasons why this plant might be stressed. One, it's been extremely dry here in Florida, and so water is very scarce, and so the soil has been the soil has been more dry than it's supposed to be. I do top water to try to keep it limped along, but this is not ideal for this plant. And so this one in particular is struggling with that. The burn from the heat is causing it a lot of stress, and you can also see the stress response in the amount of leaves that it's trying to produce all at once. This is also indicative of a disease or a pest. I don't believe there is one on here. I believe this is strictly due to stress from the very, very blaring heat. It's been close to 100 degrees here in Florida, and then completely dry. So there is no rain to be had. You can also see that stress in a lot of things. So see how this is a little bit tangential for this video, but see how this one's got some curling going on with the new growth, right? These traps are not happy, they're stressed. They are not in danger of dying, but they are not enjoying their lives right now. One thing I do want to point out though is that you have these plants right here that are very stressed, and then right next to them you have plants that are thriving and doing just fine, albeit maybe a little stressed on that one, but for the most part are doing just fine. And this is okay. This is normal behavior. All plants are going to grow at their own pace, and they're going to have their ebbs and flows and their ups and downs, and some are going to do better than others. Some are going to go through a time of growth and others not so much. The point I'm trying to make is don't overthink it. Don't stress out, and don't concern yourself if you see little variances in how they're growing. You may have one plant that absolutely explodes with growth one year and the next year suffers, and that's okay. Plants are just like people. We're not on our A game all the time. Now, hopefully this helps shed some light on this for you. Now, there are a few things to take in consideration if your plant starts to look like this, and that is, what soil are you using? Venus flytraps want an inert soil, and what I found to be the best is 50-50 peat and perlite. They're going to want pure water, reverse osmosis, rainwater, or distilled water. This also could be why they are stressed, because water has been very, very tough to come by. I've had to use the runoff from my dehumidifier, and while it should be pure and it should be okay, there could be chemicals that it's pulling from the air, like aerosol solvents, things like that, that it just doesn't like. But overall, I think it's coming down to just the dryness. Venus flytraps like to sit in water at all times. They can have a little bit of a dry out in their trays, but if I feel this, while it is moist, it is not where it needs to be. And that, unfortunately, is just the way it is. These plants grow on the border of North and South Carolina, and they do need to keep their soil moist, but they should be coming back full force when the rainy season hits here in Florida. And then the light. So ask yourself, what kind of light are you giving them? They want 12 to 14 hours of direct sunlight. Humidity is not that big of a deal, but if it is super, super arid, like in Arizona or somewhere out there, you want to make sure to give them some sort of, make sure they're sitting in water, and that ambient humidity will help immensely. Let's see what else we can talk about on this. Overall though, the point remains this: if your plant looks like it's starting to struggle, ask yourself, have you given it the care that it needs? Not the care that you think it should have, but the care that it needs. If you have said yes to all that and it checks off the boxes, first check the plant's status. Is there a bug in the trap? And it did recently catch a trap or a bug. That might be it's just going through its natural cycle. If only one trap is dying off and it's starting from the trap down like this, that is okay. That is part of the leaf turnover rate. If you have a mass sort of blacking like this or yellowing, there could be a problem here. Could be root rot, potentially crown rot, but in this case the crown is very healthy. It could be diseases, so looking for pests is key. But in this case, again, I think it is just drying off. See how unhealthy that is? That is not good. It will be fine, but just look for those signs. And then lastly, does the plant look like it's fledgling? Does it look like it's suffering? And if so, go through that checklist. Hopefully this video helps and helps alleviate some of your worries and helps you pinpoint what is going on with your plants. I hope you had a great time with this video. Happy growing and have a great day.